Prime Khabib Nurmagomedov versus the current top 15 ranked UFC Lightweights. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, going to be my most controversial tier list yet. He's got a very sensitive fan base. I actually really loved Prime Khabib, but depending on some of these rankings, I think his fan base is going to get very upset. But it is what it is. We go for it on the Benji MMA YouTube channel. If you like what you see, like, share, subscribe. The following categories are ranked by using destroys Khabib. Destroys Khabib means they destroy Khabib. Newsflash. Beats Khabib means I would wager their chances of beating Khabib higher than Khabib's chances of beating them. High chance means I think it's a more 50-50 fight, but I'd slightly edge Khabib Nurmagomedov. Can compete means they can give Khabib some trouble. They can give him a decent-ish time. Or pray for that man means, dear God, pray for that man. They have absolutely no chance. So without further ado, I saved the most controversial pick of this list to the start. I thought, why not just get straight into the deep end? Not go with a safe pick, not try butter the Khabib fans up. I'm going to go straight for Islam Makhachev. Two favourites of the Dagestani fan base. Okay, and Islam Makhachev is going to go straight up into beats Khabib. Now, I have good reasoning for this. Islam Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov will be a very competitive fight. There is no way, shape or form I could ever see Islam destroying Khabib. I already know what the comments are saying. I already know what people are typing, but pause before you type it, because I already know what you're going to say. But Ben, Islam Makhachev said Khabib would beat him. Islam Makhachev said he never got the better of Khabib in sparring. This is a mixed martial arts fight. This isn't sparring. This isn't light technical sparring. This isn't wrestling. This is a mixed martial arts competition. Islam Makhachev is arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter in history. Now, Khabib Nurmagomedov is also arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter in history. I would argue Khabib Nurmagomedov mesmerised me more than Islam Makhachev. But Islam Makhachev is a bad stylistic matchup for Khabib. Not to the point where he runs through Khabib. Not to that point. Because Islam's a more cleaner striker than Khabib. He has elite level submissions, elite level grappling, elite level top control. I hate when people say they're the exact same, that they're very, very similar in style. They could not be more different. Although they're both from Dagestan, although they both have that combat sambo judo background that they fall back on, which means they're both extremely balanced when you try and reverse positions in the clinch. They know how to utilise the fence to take you down and stay on top. Both elite in that regard, both elite with the submissions. I would argue Khabib is the better grappler. The way he could smash his way into positions using ground and pound effectively is a bit different to Islam Makhachev. Islam is a lot more methodical than Khabib. A lot more methodical than Khabib was on the ground, might I say. And in my opinion, I do think this fight would be very, very competitive. But Islam would beat Khabib. He's a better, cleaner striker. He's more faster and he's way more powerful than Khabib was. Khabib could drag Islam into a fight where this is somebody, and it works back for Khabib too, where they both won't be fearing the takedown threat of the other. Maybe Islam will be the one trying to keep it on the feet, whereas Khabib might be the one trying to take Islam down at times. But I have no doubt Islam, being the fighter that he is, would go there with Khabib if they fought hypothetically. And they're both absolutely not bothered about this, right? They're not, struggling fighting the best friend or fighting what they see as a brother. They just don't like each other in this scenario, right? We're not talking about the mental aspects. It's just the technical aspects. In my opinion, Islam Makhachev would beat Khabib. Better, cleaner on the feet, faster, he has more power, good round kicks to the body, a brilliant straight left hand from distance, and the fact that Khabib won't be able to make Islam erratic from his takedown threat alone. He'd have to drag Islam and risk a lot of offense, trying to make Islam more wild on the feet, right? Trying to drag Islam into this sprawl and brawl type fight. But I think in a sprawl and brawl type fight, which this would be, Islam's just more proficient than Khabib. He's not the same as Khabib. I hate that narrative. I hate when people say he's just a Khabib regen, but not as good. Couldn't be more different. Southpaw against orthodox. Khabib used marauding forward pressure to break guys with a lot of volume. Islam uses more methodical, distant striking to create space where he can then work a takedown, and he's more methodical with his grappling. It depends who can impose the will on the other, but for me, without a shadow of a doubt, it would be Islam Makhachev. I'm not saying he destroys Khabib, but I do think he would beat Khabib. And that's 5 minutes on that take. So, without further ado, let's go on to a more safer matchup for Khabib. Dan Hooker. Pray for that man. Khabib would destroy Dan Hooker. Now, Dan Hooker has a lot of tools on the feet that he could utilise against Khabib. His elbows could be effective against Khabib if he gets careless with his entries, if he gets careless in the clinch. Dan Hooker's long and rangy. Khabib isn't more responsible defensively than someone like Islam Makhachev. So Khabib might make a mistake early where he zigs where he should have zagged. But Khabib had an excellent chin. I don't see Dan Hooker knocking him out or knocking him down unless he lands a flush head kick, and Khabib won't give him the distance to do that. If he didn't give the distance to someone as deadly with the kicks as Edson Barboza, and he got spinning, was it a spinning hook kick? What was it? A spinning wheel kick to the side of the head, I think it was, and Khabib ate that. You know, he's not going to respect Dan Hooker's distance too. He's going to get straight on him, a lot stronger in the clinch, a lot better balanced. Hooker's got pretty good takedown defence, as he showed against Mateusz Gamrot. But it's not enough. Not enough to stop Khabib, in my humble yet correct opinion. Moving on, Joel Alvarez. Pray for that man. Now, again, I say this in every video. Nothing personal to Joel Alvarez. He could end up being up here, for all I know. Could end up being up here, for all I know, one day. I doubt it. But he's not proven enough yet to say he could compete with someone like Khabib, to say give Khabib a really hard fight. I don't even think Alvarez possesses stylistic tools, except the fight is really long and tall and powerful, to say beat Khabib. As far as I know, Khabib and maul him, right? Until Joel Alvarez does something in his career, we're not going to bump him up to can compete, and we're not going to bump him up to high chance. He's going to stay back down and pray for that man. Next up, we've got Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson is also going to go and pray for that man. Grant Dawson would stand no chance against Khabib. Doesn't have the best chin, so it's not like Khabib can't crack him. He'd massively struggle under Khabib's pressure. He's got ridiculously good freestyle wrestling, so I think he could stuff a couple of Khabib's takedowns. But it's Khabib's chain wrestling and his fight IQ that, yes again, he might go on to be an amazing fighter, Grant Dawson, for all I know. But as far as we know, he got knocked out by Bobby Green. You know, I know styles make fights, but come on. Got knocked out by Bobby Green. Since then, he hasn't really made a huge step up. We need to see him prove more before we say he beat someone like Khabib Nurmagomedov. It's just disrespectful to say that he would beat Khabib Nurmagomedov, if that kind of makes sense. Michael Chandler. Oh, Mike. Pray for that man. Dear God. Dear God. Everybody, do your cross, do your prayer, pray to whatever God we need to pray to for Michael Chandler, because he is absolutely in prayer for that man. Very explosive in the first round. Actually, he might land some stuff on Khabib in the first round if he was a bit more aggressive. And I say this in every video at the moment. I think Chandler's done. I think he'd lose to a lot of the top lightweights at the moment. I really, really do. He looks more hesitant than ever. You've all heard the points, not all of you, but you've all heard the points I mentioned with Paddy Pimblett and Charles Oliveira. More hesitant than ever. Very wild. Not the best cardio at all. That's not good against Khabib. Not the level of chain wrestling of Khabib. The fight IQ on the ground is so different, it's unbelievable. It's not even funny what Khabib would do to Michael Chandler. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Michael Chandler would get smashed. The 1,000-yard stare that Joe Rogan loves to mention about Edson Barboza when he talks about the Khabib fight would certainly come out if these two fought. I have absolutely no doubt about it. Khabib would smash Michael Chandler. No ifs, ands or buts. Benoit Saint-Denis, he's going to go and pray for that man. Again, Benoit Saint-Denis is pretty well rounded. Like, he's all right. Decent power, decent speed. Doesn't really have the best defence. Neither did Khabib. But Khabib actually had pretty unorthodox head movement that someone as pretty basic as Benoit Saint-Denis would probably struggle to land against, unless he can come in with a left cross, left high kick combination that he liked to use. Did he land that against Matt Frivola? I forgot. I've not seen that knockout in a while. He's all right, Benoit Saint-Denis. You've got to be a lot more than that to compete against Khabib even. You've got to be a lot more than that to can compete. Khabib was a dominant force. And this is why this list is going to confuse you all, because you're going to be like, how have people made it up here, like Islam Makhachev, but not many people are going to make it here. Not many people are going to even make it here. Because Khabib's style was imposing. It was dominant. There wasn't really much you could do. You need to be of a certain caliber, of a certain level, of a certain aura, some might even say, to beat Khabib Nurmagomedov and even compete with him. And I just don't think Benoit Saint-Denis has the skills to do that, to be honest with you. Paddy Pimblett. Now, can compete, right? Stop. I know. Can compete, borderlining on prayer for that man, right? If you want to put him in prayer, that's fine. I'd put him in can compete. I think Paddy Pimblett would be confident enough, and some might say, you know, unjustifiably so, confident enough to go in there and beat Khabib at his own game. I think Paddy Pimblett believes in his heart he could out-grapple Islam Makhachev. Now, you could call that delusional, but I think that would give him confidence going in there against Khabib, or Islam, if it ever does happen, or Ilia Topuria even, if it ever does happen. Paddy's got very good jiu-jitsu. It's not on the level of Khabib's, which speaks volumes, but he's got ridiculously good attacks off his back. From full guard, Khabib never really entered these kind of positions, right? We never really saw Khabib in full guard. Very rarely. We never really saw him, especially against guys that have good jiu-jitsu like RDA. We never saw him in those kinds of positions. So it's going to be hard for Paddy to even excel off his back where he excels the most. He's not going to risk a flying triangle, right? He's not going to risk attacking a triangle from the clinch or an armbar. He would be a madman to try that. He's not going to jump a guillotine. It might throw Khabib off like Dustin Poirier did, but Khabib has shown he's got the composure and the will to kind of ride these things out and get back to a safe position. It's going to be interesting to see how Khabib would deal with someone of the physicality of Paddy too, because Paddy's quite a big guy and he's powerful. He's unorthodox on the feet too, which I actually think, unironically, would give Khabib more trouble using that kind of style than somebody who is more orthodox with their entries and their attacks. Just to expand on that, it's not... You see guys like Khabib fought that he put pressure on them and they'd start swinging for the fences, like Dustin Poirier. They're trying to just get him out of there and swing and hope. But Paddy's got an unorthodox style to throw uncomfortable manoeuvres, unorthodox techniques when he's under pressure anyway. So I think it'd be tough for Khabib, especially early, to make Paddy discouraged or break Paddy's confidence. I do believe Paddy would go in there and try and stick behind his jab. I do believe he'd go in there and it wouldn't be the most technical jab. It'd be flared elbow, chin in the air, looking for a wild 1-2, maybe, potentially shooting a takedown of his own. Paddy would try and manoeuvre this fight technically to start with, but he's not in high chance. No way in hell. And he's not in prayer for... He's borderlining on prayer for that man, but I just think Paddy has some tools and the ability to be confident to go in there against Khabib and try and get the win and try and follow a game plan. I just don't think he'd beat Khabib though. It'd still be a comfortable win. Remember, can compete means they could give him some trouble, but ultimately Khabib would still beat them comfortably. Max Holloway can compete. Right, stop. I know. We are dealing with a very, very different level of opposition to anything Max Holloway ever faced, right? Especially now, where he's more flat-footed, which wouldn't help him against Khabib because you don't want to be flat-footed, but a more circly, one shot at a time, builds into the fight more slowly. You know, he doesn't get going straight away. Less volume, still good volume, still commits with volume. Still very, very technical, still very, very good. Max Holloway, if he can keep Khabib on the feet, of course, and stuff his takedowns, he could even go up there, or he's going to edge into high chance. But I think Max would out-grapple him. I think Khabib would out-grapple Max, pardon me. Definitely not the other way around. That will upset the Khabib fans. Max is a very, very good momentum fighter. The problem is, as we all know, he probably won't build that momentum to begin with. And I think when they were meant to fight, I think that would have been a terrible fight for Max, had he have made weight, if he didn't have those troubles. If they fought on such short notice, I think that would have been a terrible fight for Max. So I'm glad it never did happen, because it might have took the sting out of Max's career early. But even on a full training camp, a more matured Max Holloway, he's fought good wrestlers like Ilia Topuria, and Ilia took him down. The one time he did shoot, he took him down, and listen, he didn't do much with it, but he showed Max, I have this here if I need it. So Ilia is one of the only grapplers Max ever faced that was in the prime and athletic and width-wise stocky that could take him down and get him there. And he did. Ilia Topuria did, and he showed Max, I can use this if I want to. And Max did come out the round after a bit more cautious, looking more like, Ilia might shoot in here. I've got to be more careful. I've got to be more cautious. This isn't just a striking matchup. You know, and Ilia had that in his locker. Now, Khabib doesn't have the level of boxing on the feet as Ilia, so that's not going to be a thing Max is overly concerned about. But I think Khabib would make this fight pretty fast-paced early on, pretty erratic. He might take some damage. There's no way in hell I'm putting Max in prayer for that man. Absolutely not, because I think Max can damage Khabib. Pretty good straight punches. It's going to be tough for Khabib to make Max back up, swinging wildly. Please get away from me, like Dustin Poirier. He'll probably try and stay more technical like Conor McGregor did, but of course he's got elite level 5-round cardio, so he's going to be more fresh if Khabib decides to strike with him if they're in the middle of round 3. You know, that'd be pretty bad for Khabib, because he can't let Max Holloway ever build momentum ever in this fight. Otherwise, Holloway is going to start creeping up there. And that's when it gets dicey for Khabib Nurmagomedov. I just think that early takeover of Khabib would completely stuff Max out. I think Max would never gain momentum. It depends on the first round, right? Do I edge Max up into high chance? I think can compete's fair. It's just styles mate fights. I want to put Max there. I even want to put Max there. I don't see that happening. I could see that happening. It being more 50-50. But I think can compete's fair. I think Khabib would beat Max comfortably. He'd out-grapple him. He'd submit him. I think he'd impose his will on Max better than Max can impose his will on Khabib, right? Khabib was fearless against any level of striker. Conor, fearless against him. Didn't mind standing in front of him. You know, did back up more against Conor than we used to seeing him. But Max doesn't have the cage-cutting ability of Conor, and he doesn't have the power of Conor either. Even at 155, where Max does punch harder. I still think Khabib would comfortably beat Max Holloway. Khabib in his prime. But it depends. Can Khabib absolutely impose himself early? Because if he can't, it's creeping up there. But I think he would, to be honest with you. Beneil Dariush. Actually, no, pray for that man. You know what? There was a part of my brain saying, but Beneil is a very good anti-wrestler, and Khabib is not good. He's not very defensively responsible, and Beneil does hit very hard. If you're a wrestler, Beneil is not someone you want to fight, because no matter what level of wrestler you are, Beneil has very good sprawls, elite level takedown defense. He can out-grapple you while defending. So oftentimes you'll see wrestlers going against Beneil and he'll let you come to him like Gamrot, and he'll say, okay, we'll sprawl, I'll get the better of you, and now I'm going to discourage you. And that's when you'll see Beneil put on a clinic. Even against Moicano, different because Moicano's more of a submission specialist threat, looking to use the clinch to get Beneil down, and he could get Beneil down. It's not like Beneil's impossible to take down. He used that really well against Beneil, but Beneil, again, is such a good defensive wrestler where he can counter you in the sprawls and get the better of you with it. He's got pretty good takedowns of his own and a very powerful left overhand. Khabib had a great chin. I think he could take a few off Beneil. And Beneil, honestly, he'd massively struggle to gauge distance with Khabib. He'd just get suffocated. He'd get backed up early, like he always does, looking for that one big left overhand. Khabib shooting on him. No doubt Beneil would stuff a Khabib takedown to begin with. But when they're up against the fence and Khabib's smothering him and Beneil breaks away and Khabib's right back on him straight away, Beneil can't reset. Khabib would take over. And that's why I'm putting Beneil at the top of prey for that man. Yes, Beneil, stylistically on paper, is a wrestler's nightmare because of how he's built. He's a striker's wet dream, Beneil Dariush. A striker's wet dream. If you're not trying to take him down and he's striking so untechnical and you could just back him up, you can smash him to pieces, right? Even Arman Sarukian, he's shown if you're technical enough Actually, there's a lot of weaknesses you can exploit with Beneil, and he knocked him out pretty quickly. Charles Oliveira, again, same thing. Same thing. Beneil didn't want to go to the ground with Charles at all, too. So Charles Oliveira could just pressure him back and easily smash him. So it's different from the Gamrots of this world to the suffocated strikers of this world. And I do think Khabib would stick behind a jab, dip underneath the left overhand, mix in takedowns, pressure Beneil back, and never let Beneil get going. But yes, Beneil, you know, you don't want to be a wrestler and fight Beneil unless you're Khabib. Khabib's a little bit different. Renato Moicano. Pray for that man. Look, Islam Makhachev, it was on 1 day's notice, right? 2 days' notice. I understand, right? No shade to Renato Moicano. Khabib would still easily out-grapple him. Renato Moicano is a guy that if you can out-grapple, that shows that, hey, you're a very, very good grappler in this division and you're a threat. And it's not like it's not impossible to do. Many people have got the better of Renato Moicano there. He's very good in the clinch. He's very long and rangy with his attacks. Not the fastest guy. But again, he just isn't on that level, Renato Moicano. We love Money Moicano. We love him. Let me tell you something. We love him. Absolutely love him. Why you coming fast? No, that's a different guy. But we love him. Pray for that man, I think is fair. And we do love Renato. But we all knew Islam was going to smash him. And even though it was on short notice, maybe it'd go a bit longer on a full training camp. But I think Islam would eventually do the same thing to him again. Maybe not submit him, but maybe TKO him. Maybe take him down and dominate him. We all knew Islam was going to smash Renato. We had it in the back of our minds like, ooh, but Renato's well-rounded. Ooh, but he's good on the feet. Ooh, he's got good jiu-jitsu. But then, you know, Islam showed us that there's a level that Renato Moicano, yes, it was on short notice, but there's a level that he's just never quite been able to get to. And that's, I don't think, is an unfair. That's not hate, but I think that's a pretty fair assessment, to be honest with you. Rafael Fiziev. Okay, Rafael Fiziev. Pray for that man. Again, I love Rafael Fiziev. Doesn't have good enough cardio. Khabib would take Rafael Fiziev down quickly and he'd batter him. Now, Fiziev, I think, can stick in the fight. Fiziev, I think, has intricate movement, decent low calf kicks, decent step-up kicks. But the thing is, these kicks that Fiziev throws, like with Barboza or any striker with great kicks and dynamic kicks, Khabib fought, it's not going to get respected. These feints and these intricate movements and these subtle steps and these pivots that you like to do, it's different with Khabib. He just walks forward to you. So then you'll see someone like Rafael Fiziev, all of a sudden, the striking looks worse than ever. They're becoming wild. Unlike Max, Fiziev would be swinging to try and get Khabib off him. Whenever you see someone overpressure Fiziev, he's willing to swing to get you off him. He gets more wild. He gets less technical. And then you respect him because of the power and the speed he has coming after you. It wouldn't be the case with Khabib. Khabib had pretty decent head movement. He might get caught by kicks on the separation when they disengage from the clinch or when Fiziev angles off and he looks to blast the low calf kick like Justin Gaethje did. But even when Gaethje did it, Khabib actually waited for Gaethje to commit with a low calf kick and then took him down from that and almost got, was it an inverted triangle on him in the end of the first round, and then he did submit him in the second. So pray for that man, unfortunately, for Rafael Fiziev. And I really like Rafael Fiziev. Make no mistake about that. Arman Tsarukyan. Arman is going to go up into high chance. Arman is the new generation of fighter. Khabib wasn't like an older generation, but Arman is a newer generation of fighter. Elite level wrestling, great chain wrestling. It's similar to Islam Makhachev with Arman. Yeah, he can compete with Khabib, more than compete with him. Maybe even 50-50 him in some scrambles. It's a different fight though with Khabib because again, he's less methodical than Gamrot. He's way less methodical than Islam Makhachev. He's less traditional. He'll smash his way into positions if he gets you on his back. He's not going to look to hold you down and then establish. He'll smash you from the get-go and with ground and pound force you to make a mistake like build to your base, which I do believe Arman Tsarukyan could do. And you can find opportunities to submit Arman Tsarukyan, especially if you get him and you stuff one of his takedowns and you can kind of look for a Darce or you can look for an Anaconda like Charles Oliveira did. You can attack with these kind of submissions with Arman Tsarukyan if you can force him to panic shoot. I do think Arman will try and take Khabib down. I do think Arman Tsarukyan has the power and the speed on the feet to give Khabib trouble. I do believe Arman Tsarukyan, like Paddy Pimblett, would come into this fight confident he can out-grapple Khabib. And to be fair, Khabib never did beat an elite-level wrestler, right? Islam has in his career. But I think we all know that this would probably be one of those fights that Arman hangs in there with. But ultimately, Khabib wins a very competitive fight. It could be like a 50-45, but Arman made it pretty competitive in each round kind of fight. Not a dominant 50-45, but Arman was just a step behind the whole time kind of fight, in my opinion. I don't know if that makes sense to any of you. To me, it does. I think that's pretty fair. I think Arman can absolutely give Khabib trouble. Absolutely. Same with Mateusz Gamrot. He's going to go and can compete slightly below Holloway, just because Gamrot does panic shoot a lot, and I think his gas tank would fail him in the kind of pace Khabib would fight him with, and the activity and volume Khabib would bring, and the pressure Khabib would bring. He'd back Gamrot up straight away. Gamrot would give up the centre of the octagon. He is very easily backed up. Gamrot will try and take Khabib down. I actually think Gamrot, out of Islam, Arman, any of the wrestlers in the division, he would quickly try and take Khabib down. He'd test the waters, I truly believe, on how good Khabib's wrestling is. He might even get Khabib down. Gamrot has got excellent takedowns. He could get Khabib down, I think, early. But man, keeping him there, Gamrot's not a big submission threat. He's not a big TKO from ground and pound threat. Khabib's better off his back. Khabib's better in the clinch. Khabib's got better jiu-jitsu. Khabib has as good wrestling, if not slightly better, especially with his chain wrestling. And ultimately, I think he'd get the better of Gamrot there. Gamrot can give him trouble, but he doesn't get high chance because he's not as powerful as Arman. He's not as fast as Arman. And he hasn't shown to be as technical as both of their careers has progressed. He's not as technical, and he does make dumb decisions in fights. You can't do it against Khabib. There's got to be a level of composure that someone like Gamrot just does not have to give him a high chance against Khabib. I would never say in any world he beats Khabib either. But for sure can give him some trouble. He'd never go and pray for that man. Never. But can compete, I think, is fair. Justin Gaethje, straight into the very bottom of pray for that man. Actually, no, that's pretty harsh, actually. But he's going low. Very low. You saw what Khabib did to him. And yes, Gaethje has got better. His jiu-jitsu's still god-awful. He has very good... He was an NCAA freestyle wrestler. Division 1 freestyle wrestler. Very, very good. Very, very good, Justin Gaethje at wrestling. Was able to stuff a few of Khabib's takedowns. But like I say, Gaethje doesn't have the fight IQ to hang with Khabib. He just doesn't. And it showed. Khabib was able to get a takedown off Gaethje loading up with a low calf kick. He still does load up with low calf kicks. He's not in his prime now. He's not got as much career momentum as he did when he fought Khabib. That was an absolute best Justin Gaethje that fought Khabib Nurmagomedov. Coming off his best ever career performance, right? Still to this day against Tony Ferguson after being written off. Khabib had just lost his father in the build-up to that fight. He had a terrible weight cut. And he still handily beat Justin Gaethje. Once he got Gaethje on his back, it exposed a massive hole in Gaethje's game. And that is, if you can get him there, which is a big if because Gaethje's got great wrestling, but if you can get him there, he is helpless. And that's why I'd never pick Gaethje to beat Islam. I'd never pick Gaethje to beat Arman. I wouldn't even pick Gaethje to beat Paddy Pimblett because of that weakness. And it's still to this day. And against Charles Oliveira, he showed it. I even forgot about that. Oliveira choked him easily, like effortlessly. He looked amateurish. It's such a big hole in Gaethje's game. I have no idea how he has such a big deficiency in jiu-jitsu. And no one knew it was there before the Khabib fight. Now everyone knows it's there. That's why I think even Gamrot could beat him. Paddy would definitely beat him. Arman would beat him. Islam would beat him. That hole's too big in his game. Gaethje's powerful, he's fast on the feet. It's just not enough. Charles Oliveira, right, Charles Oliveira can compete, and he's going to go slightly above Paddy. Oliveira's dangerous on the feet. He has elite level jiu-jitsu. There's a difference in fight IQ. He can't go up there. He just can't. He can't. He definitely could never go up there. He absolutely could never go up there. Can compete. Fight IQ difference on the ground is too much. Charles is very aggressive off his back. Similar to Paddy. The positions Charles will be looking to establish submissions off of, although I think he can attack the legs of Khabib, probably not a good idea. Khabib will just ground and pound your lights out. That's a guy that, in the wise words of MMA Guru, wouldn't believe in heel hooks, wouldn't believe in knee bars. He'd just, if you try locking in, he'll punch your head in. So that's not going to happen with Khabib. He won't even entertain it. He's got a lot of dexterity in his legs too and flexibility. So I think Charles has struggled to get that kind of position off Khabib and attack with submissions off his back. Oliveira is very, very elite on the ground. Don't get me wrong, he can give Khabib trouble there. In the clinch, very dicey for Khabib. I don't think Oliveira is ever going to be the same again after the Ilia Topuria KO, but that's assuming, right? I actually think after the Ilia Topuria KO, how I think he's going to look in his next fight is going to put him there. But we don't know that for certain, that's speculation. And although this video is a hypothetical, I'm going off his last performance. And I don't think he looked terrible against Ilia. Yes, he got knocked out in the first round, but I think it's just a bad stylistic matchup. And now he has been KO'd for the first time. I think it's going to negatively affect his career, but we don't know for certain. Khabib's probably not knocking Charles Oliveira out. He can for sure hurt him and wobble him if he goes for that fake double leg into a right overhand. He could easily do that. Oliveira is very careless defensively on the feet and is a lot slower in terms of his volume than Khabib, but he does have better placement in his shots. So yes, and to be fair, Oliveira will come to Khabib like he did with Islam Makhachev and try and take the centre of the octagon off him. So I've no doubt Oliveira would turn up to win. No doubt about it. I'm going to put him slightly above camera actually. No doubt about it. But not in his prime necessarily anymore. At the peak of his powers it might be up here, but not in his prime anymore. It's different to Islam because Khabib doesn't have the weapons on the feet Islam Makhachev does and the precision on the feet Islam Makhachev does. But they'll both battle for the centre of the octagon. Charles will try and bring the fight, knees in the clinch, aggressive. He could probably cut Khabib, right? But I think Khabib would win that fight. Finally, last but not least, Ilia Topuria, right? Very, very high chance. Borderlining on beats. We only saw it briefly against Charles, just how elite his grappling is. I think it is elite. To get a crucifix on Charles is no joke. As short as it was to do that against Charles so easily is no joke. When he fought someone like Bryce Mitchell, it was almost like when he just decided to go there, right? And really finally, it's like he got sick of Bryce shooting in on him. So he just said, right, fine. If we're going to do it this way, I'll just submit you. I'll drop you and I'll submit you. And that's what he did. Elite, a lot of power. I'm going to... his boxing would be a big problem for Khabib. Big problem. He's got the composure and the belief. He'd go in there with the composure and the belief that he could beat Khabib. He's not going to crack under Khabib's pressure because he's got that... He's got a Greco-Roman wrestling base, but he has the composure of a boxer. Does Ilia. That's what throws all of his opponents off. It's his composure, his ability to see coming, his ability to not overdo big movements, not throw singular shots like Conor McGregor did. Conor McGregor doesn't have the counter-punching of Ilia. Longer, rangy, powerful southpaw Conor, or the cardio, or the wrestling. But his striking never gave Khabib trouble because it's singular shots, right? Or it's 1-2s, whether it's the right uppercut into the left hand, whether it's the jab into the left hand, or the pull left hand counter. You've got to have combinations. Dustin Poirier was the blueprint of what people used to think would beat Khabib Nurmagomedov. But in reality, right, you'd want an elite level wrestler. You'd want somebody that wouldn't fear the takedown of Khabib. You'd want somebody that has one punch knockout power, who I think Khabib would be able to take some of Ilia's shots. Not forever, though. That's something he can't risk. That's something he can't risk. Especially when he's dipping down into those right uppercuts of Ilia. Someone who can work the body of Khabib. Somebody that will try and take the centre of the octagon off Khabib. Ilia Topuria is more than intelligent enough to know I can't let Khabib pressure me back. So it'd be a very interesting battle. He's not going and beats Khabib. Slightly high chance. If these two ever fight, Ilia and Islam one day, I've got a feeling Ilia might go up here. I know his wrestling's elite. I need to see it if it is at that next level, which is what Khabib and Islam are at. That's what I need to see. I think it's a 50-50 fight, Ilia and Khabib. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with this list? No one destroys Khabib, of course. That's a category I don't think I've used yet in a single one of my videos, but Khabib's one of the best to ever do it. Islam's the only one who I think would concretely beat Khabib stylistically. Ilia's borderlining on beats Khabib. Arman, I think, has a high chance, but I think it'd be pretty competitive. Max, top end of can compete. Not a bad list, I don't think. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye, everybody.